The cataclysmic plane crash in Ahmedabad has sent shockwaves across the nation, etching an indelible mark of sorrow and grief. It's 9 p.m. this evening. It's been a horrific day for all of us across the country. Spare a thought for the families of those who have been killed in this horrific day in this horrific crash. It's been a fateful day. Air India flight AI-171, a state-of-the-art Boeing 7878 Dreamliner. It embarked on a journey from Ahmedabad to London's Gatwick Airport, only to meet with a tragic end just minutes after takeoff. In fact, it flew for just 30 seconds before it went down. The aircraft had 242 passengers and crew members on board. We know that there is one survivor who walked out of that, one person seated in seat number 11A who got out of that. There were 242 passengers, including crew members as well, 2 pilots on board, and I think 8 crew members. The exact number we will get in a little while. The aircraft crashed into a hostel for doctors at a medical college, unleashing a maelstrom of destruction and chaos. As the plane took to the skies, hopes and dreams soared with it, but fate had other plans. The mayday call sent by the pilot still echoes in our minds, a haunting precursor to the impending disaster. The subsequent silence, a grim testament to the severity of the situation, left air traffic controllers and those on the ground in a state of panic and helplessness. In just the last little while, what we can share with you is that we've got the second angle. This is footage that we brought you first on Air India, of this Air India situation on NDTV, which shows the aircraft barreling down the runway, reaching a particular velocity, taking off, and then losing lift, thrust, and then crashing. And this is the second angle. At 1:39 p.m. is when the plane took off, and shortly after this, you can see it going down. We've sort of intercut the two videos. There's also in the interim period a mayday call by the pilot. The pilot, giving a mayday call indicating that this was an emergency which had taken place. Beyond that, there was no communication. They were probably fighting to save the aircraft, their lives at that stage. We do not know about the number of people on the ground who've been killed or injured in this crash. This was a medical college, a hostel over there. There were young doctors in training over there. It was lunchtime. Many of them were in the canteen, is what we've been told. There have been multiple reactions which have come in. The British Prime Minister has voiced his concern at what's taken place, because let's also bring out the details of the nationalities of those of the passengers. There were more than 160 Indian nationals on board. There were upwards of 50 nationals from the United Kingdom on board the aircraft. There were 7 Portuguese nationals and 1 Canadian. There were 2 infants. And this video really does tell a story. My colleague Maria Shakil with us as well. Run us through the video, Maria, that we are seeing on our screens.
Absolutely, Vishnu, as you pointed out, very, very concerning, and at the same time, very, very horrifying. I mean, just look at those stories which have been shared. A number of such videos have gone viral now. And these images from the crash site are seared into our collective consciousness now. You can see a thick plume of grey smoke coming out as soon as the plane crashed into a hotel. In fact, yes, that's Home Minister Amit Shah at the hospital. There are around 20 survivors. Most of them appear to be, Vishnu, those who were
on the ground?
doctors.
Right, the people on the ground.
Yes.
And one survivor from the air.
There's one survivor from the air. Who do we know the identity of that survivor?
I can't confirm it. I mean, there is a name.
Yes,
but
so
that
these are largely those who were there on the ground when the plane crashed.
Right.
This is essentially a doctor's hostel where the plane crashed, and it all happened in a matter of few minutes. Let's bring in the guests now, Vishnu, who are joining us. Mohan Ranganathan is aviation safety consultant. We have Wing Commander Gitanjali Singh. Captain Kishore Chinta is joining us. We also have Captain Sam Thomas, and Air Marshal Vinod Bhatia is joining us as well. I'm going to begin with you, Mohan Ranganathan. When you look at these images, of course, there are multiple theories doing the rounds at the moment. What do you think really happened?
I mean, looking at the videos and the one that shows the CCTV video.
Yeah, we'll play that video out right now, and you can talk over it, Captain Ranganathan. Can we have that CCTV footage showing the takeoff run so that Captain Mohan Ranganathan, perhaps India's foremost air safety expert, can tell us? Not that video, the video of the plane from the runway taking off. That's the one. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, you can see that the acceleration is normal. And but if you look at the side of the grass, the runway, the grass is too high, which collects all the birds. Now, if you look at the lift off, that is also normal. And then you can see the nose pulling up. But what really intrigues me is they have not retracted the landing gear, which is going to, it looks like they've lost thrust, probably due to a compressor stall or due to bird ingestion. And then they're going down and he's raising the nose. So he must have stalled the aircraft at that point. So if he had raised the landing gear, they could have gone higher and they could have gone further, maybe cleared the buildings. But to me, it appears that, look at the grass here, it's very high. You're not supposed to have anything more than 2 or 3 inches of grass. They must have cleared that. Because monsoon season, you have lots of insects and worms, and the birds come for them. The birds are hanging around near the runway and all the kites. So it looks like a bird ingestion, multiple bird ingestion into the 2 engines. And that is what has caused the loss of thrust.
Captain,
and why?
Just one point. We've seen this footage, and the footage from the runway, which we've been talking about. At the moment the aircraft takes off, there are no birds which are visible at all, and the video is quite clear. Presumably it would be a flock of birds which was ingested not in one engine but both.
These are birds which will be hanging around near the surface, near the runway surface, on the grass. And if they've, the suction angle of a Dreamliner engine is so much, it can pick up anything which is within 20 feet of either side. So if they were on the grass, they could have been sucked in because the engines are almost at the edge of the runway. So it is not that high-flying birds, which he has hit the birds close to the runway. And that's what must have caused a compressor stall or an engine, loss of thrust on the engines, which prevented You see, you have to understand it's summer, the temperatures are 40 plus, a long flight, fully loaded. So a loss of thrust of even 10% can cause a shallow climb. And he's forgotten the gear. I don't know why. And that must be because when they had the thrust loss, they must have been startled.
Captain, just a quick question. The configuration of the flaps, we've compared video from or images of a 787 on the takeoff run, the flap configuration where you can actually see the flaps configured in a particular way, whereas this video appears to show clean wings. Now, maybe the video is unclear, but do you believe that could be a factor?
I don't think it's a factor for the simple reason, if you have not got the takeoff flaps, you will get the takeoff warning horn. So no pilot is going to take off. So it will tell you that you've not set the configuration. So this seems to be more, I think he's got the minimum takeoff flap because of the weight. It's not that he's forgotten the flaps, but he's definitely forgotten the gear. I even got some WhatsApp saying that ram air turbine was out. But if you zoom the pictures and see, you can only see the undercarriage. You don't see any ram air turbine.
Okay, Captain, hold on for half a second.
Molly? Yes, Molly Malone of Sky News is joining us from UK. Molly, thank you for speaking to NDTV. The UK investigators are coming to India to assist the Civil Aviation Ministry officials here in the entire investigation of this crash. How do you think they can really help in this investigation?
Well, I think as you'd expect in any investigation like this, it's going to require a huge amount of coordination from agencies here and across in India. It was here at Gatwick Airport in the next couple of hours that this flight was due to land, and we know, of course, that 242 people were aboard that flight, which, as we know, included 53 British nationals and 169 Indian nationals. And we know, actually, in the last hour, we've heard a remarkable story of a British national who apparently survived. Relatives have confirmed that Ramesh was on the flight and that they've spoken to him since. He's spoken to local media, in fact, about hearing a loud noise around 30 seconds after takeoff and has had some impact injuries, and he's in hospital being treated for those injuries, but it's here at Gatwick Airport, the UK's second largest airport, that they're in the process at the moment of setting up a reception centre to provide support, to provide assistance for relatives here. Relatives clearly desperate for answers about exactly what has happened on this flight, crashing just seconds after takeoff. Sussex Police here have also said that they're helping and providing assistance. You might expect that some family members will come directly here to Gatwick Airport to speak directly to Air India, to other authorities that will be here and providing assistance. Others, though, you'd expect probably using that emergency helpline that's been set up by the UK Foreign Office. We've also had the Prime Minister here, Sir Keir Starmer, offer his condolences to President Modi. Now, the Department for Transport, as you said, have also confirmed in the last couple of hours that they're deploying 4 inspectors from the UK's accident investigation team, and they're due to arrive over in India tomorrow afternoon. Now, back at Buckingham Palace here, the King have said that the deepest sympathies, deepest thoughts of both him and his wife, Queen Camilla, are extended to those that have been impacted by this, and the Prime Minister, as you'd expect, is being kept up to date with the situation. All of these authorities, as I mentioned, will be in coordination with each other. The UK's Civil Aviation Authority in contact with the Foreign Office, the Department for Transport, but those air accident investigators, 4 of them been deployed over to India, who will look to work with Indian authorities to try and establish what's happened and give answers to those devastated and desperate families.
Molly, before I let you go, a quick word also on the 50 plus British nationals that we are looking at. Are these NRIs or they are,
Are they non-resident Indians, or do we know anything about their background, anything at all?
No, we don't yet. It's not yet clear exactly who they are, why they're over in India. We do know, of course, though, that the British state has very close and deep, long-established connections with the state of Gujarat. We have a heavy diplomatic presence there. We know, of course, that there are back and forth business people attending the state. We don't actually have any further identity as to those 53 British nationals yet, but I'm sure that will soon become clear.
All right, Molly, thank you so much for joining us. Those are the visuals coming in now of Home Minister Amit Shah, along with the Chief Minister of Gujarat, Bhupendra Patel, and Civil Aviation Minister. Perhaps they'll be addressing a press conference. This is more of an assessment which is being made by the Home Minister and other officials and the political and executive leadership of the state of Gujarat, trying to make an assessment of what should be communicated and at the same time what is the relief that can be provided. Because Vishnu, look, as far as the number of casualties is concerned, it's very clear that all those who were on board have lost their lives.
Other than one person who has survived, and that is absolutely miraculous. One person has survived. I'm just going to go across to our other panelists as well. Captain Sam Thomas with us also. Sam, you've taken a look now at the reverse angle, as it were, as the plane went down the runway at Ahmedabad International Airport. On the basis of this, is there anything that you can share with us by way of information? What do you see?
Well, from the time the accident has taken place, we've had a very sort of somber moment within our groups, and whatever we can come up with is, we'd like to say that, first of all, it's conjecture versus conjecture, and there's no right or wrong answers. We still stick to the fact that it's a loss of thrust on both engines, and what we'd like to highlight is that you really require some very big birds to put both engines of 787 out of service. So that is one. The other is it's high temperature, Ahmedabad, flap settings. Like they very correctly by Ranganathan sir pointed out, it will not allow you to take off without takeoff flaps, because the electronic checklist flags it. It will not change color, so it will be an incomplete checklist. So having said that, we still stick to the fact that there has been some reason where both these engines have lost thrust, and we sympathize with the pilot because it's happened at about 200-300 AGL. So there is nothing he could have done. And I mean, this is a culmination of the worst case scenario that you can, we play it out in the simulator sometimes when we give a V2, rather a V1 cut for, we fail an engine at decision speed, just post decision speed. and but never two engines. So loss of trust on both engines is a very catastrophic emergency, and we still stick by that.
Captain Mohan Ranganathan, this has international ramifications as well. The 787, this is the first fatal loss of a 787. It's been in service since, 2009. Airlines around the world would want a speedy investigation, at least preliminary information to figure out what went wrong. Could this be something, or I'm sure that this is something that the entire aviation community is looking at very closely, all airlines operating this type. Would that be right?
Yeah, they'll definitely be looking at that. And for me, the positive thing is the British AAIB coming in, because they are very thorough in the investigation compared to all the others. And they will not let things be swept under the carpet. And as far as the Dreamliner is concerned, it's got a very, very good reputation worldwide. In fact, just 2 days back, I came by a Dreamliner Singapore Airlines flight from Singapore, Chennai. And it was such a comfortable flight. So it's very, very wrong assumption to blame the airline. And I think this is one of the most successful aircraft for Boeing after the 747 or the 737 NGs. But here, as Sam was mentioning, the loss of trust, the fact that it was a shallow descent after, like he said, everyone's talking of 600 feet, but Ahmedabad is 200 feet above sea level. So he's climbed only to 400 feet. And there's 400 feet even with partial thrust. If at high temperature of 40 plus, it's very, very difficult to maintain the height. So it's very tragic that they had no time to react. They had no time to, I've read news items which say the ATC, I don't think the ATC can even respond to this. There was a mayday call, and a few seconds later, they have crashed. And if you see that that British person was saying that 30 seconds after takeoff, they heard a loud noise. That could be the indication that birds were ingested and there was a compressor stall. And you had the image of the tail. It's intact. So the DVTR and the CVR are easily located, and they can do the analysis in 48 hours.
Yeah.
So it is not right. DGCA takes their own sweet time to disclose even a preliminary report. Mm-hmm. But this is something, the country's reputation is at stake. I hope the minister wakes up and does, they take wall-footing steps for bird control around the airport. Ahmedabad is notorious for birds. I've written an article in Hindu more than 15 years back about that. And you'll find all the airports around the country where the municipalities don't take precautions. So this is a wake-up call for us. It is not just the tragic loss of 300 plus people, but we have to save the reputation of the aviation in India.
No, absolutely. The only point, Captain Ranganathan, is we just need to have definitive proof of birds being there and that being the factor. So obviously trying to locate the engines, if that debris is in any way, intact, which from what we've seen is not the case at all.
Do you think the black box would have captured that?
So would the black, in fact, that's my question to Air Marshal Vinod Bhatia. If there is a loss of thrust linked to a bird hit, would that be something which could be easily identifiable on the basis of the digital flight data recorder?
Well, Vishnu, I'd like to mention here that first of all, before I say anything, I would like to convey my deepest condolences to all the people who have lost their lives in this tragic mishap. And I'm sure we'll find out what exactly happened, because the tail section of the aircraft is intact, even though it's lying on top of a building. And we will be able to retrieve the cockpit recorder as well as flight data recorder and to see what has happened. On the face of it, it appears to me that it is a loss of thrust in both the engines. I'm reminded, you must have actually um, seen what happened on Hudson River when the aircraft which got airborne in that area had a double engine failure because of bird ingestion. And it was basically the split second, shall we say, um, decision making capability of the pilot which made him land on the Hudson River and save the life of all the passengers and himself. In this particular case, of course, it is very unfortunate that even though the river next to Ahmedabad has some water now, but it was not in the vicinity of the airfield. For the
Right.
pilot to
Just a
make
little
sure.
while from now, we're going to be playing out that statement from the Air India CMD. I should also mention that the Tata Group, which owns Air India, has come out with multiple statements. Tata Trusts has also come out with statements. There is a compensation amount of 1 crore plus, which has been announced by them. Let's try and cue up that important statement made by the managing director of Air India, Campbell Wilson. He was actually on another Air India flight bound for Paris when that flight returned to Delhi after he was given information that there's been a major crash. And he's then issued the statement, and I would assume that he's in Ahmedabad as well. So let's listen in to what he said before we continue to get more reactions. For that soundbite to queue up, but these are the final moments of AI 171 taking off from Ahmedabad's international airport and then crashing and flying just for 34 odd seconds. This is what the Air India chief had to say.
I am Campbell Wilson, the CEO of Air India. I want to brief you on a serious incident that involved an Air India aircraft a short while ago. But first, and most importantly, I would like to express our deep sorrow about this event. This is a difficult day for all of us at Air India, and our efforts now are focused entirely on the needs of our passengers, crew members, their families, and loved ones. I know that there are many questions, and at this stage, I will not be able to answer all of them, but I do want to share the information we have at this time. Air India flight AI 171 operated with a Boeing 787-8 aircraft traveling from Ahmedabad to London Gatwick has been involved in an accident after takeoff. Flight AI 171 was carrying 230 passengers and 12 crew members on board. Of the passengers, 169 are Indian nationals, 53 are British nationals, there are 7 Portuguese nationals and 1 Canadian national. The injured passengers have been taken by local authorities to the nearest hospitals. We are actively working with the authorities on all emergency response efforts. A special team of caregivers from Air India is on their way to Ahmedabad to provide additional support. The investigations will take time, but anything we can do now, we are doing. We know that many people are concerned for the welfare of their loved ones. We have set up a special helpline that friends and family can reach us at. The number is 1-800-5691-444. That is 1-800-5691-444. We understand that people are eager for information. Please know that we will continue to share accurate and timely information as soon as we can. But anything we report must be accurate and not speculative. We owe that to everyone involved. For now, our teams are working around the clock to support passengers, crew, and their families, as well as investigators, however we can.
Wilson Campbell there, CEO of Air India, expressing his concerns. And of course, the larger question, he's also highlighting, Vishnu, that there should not be any speculation as to probable causes of this crash. But let me bring in Wing Commander Gitanjali Singh. How do you look at the fact that, of course, there was a Mayday call which was made, something which would be seen more of a protocol globally, a standard protocol. But this plane takes off and it appears to be normal before it crashes. And that's where the larger question is, that is this some kind of an engine failure, some kind of also a bird hitting the craft?
So Maria, like the visuals which are being played, you see it's attaining an altitude which is supposed to, and after a particular point it starts sinking in. So that point of time we see that there's no bank but just a definite glide. So the power loss, of course, on both the engines, that is what crosses my mind initially when I'm seeing the visuals. Take off and everything is normal, as has been already said by everyone on the panel also, that, as you see the takeoff roll, everything appears to be normal, and the aircraft, takes off, it crosses the V1, parameters checked and everything, it does a normal takeoff, tries to attain an altitude, it is attaining a definite altitude, and after a point, it just starts sinking in. So that means there is no definite thrust. There's a loss of power over there, and after that, it just sinks onto the ground. It just, glides down. So that is what is visible here. Yes, why the power loss on both the engines? See, there's no, I as an aircraft engineer, I see that both engines have lost the power. Had there been just one engine losing it, there would have been a definite yaw or something that would have been visible in the visuals. However, I would just say that bird hit could be a definite cause. There could be a flock of birds or a kite.
Gitanjali, just a moment. Let me go straight to Ahmedabad, where Ankit, my colleague, is joining us. He has just arrived in Ahmedabad for this coverage. Ankit, what do you see around you? You are at the site of the crash.
Maria, let me start by saying that this entire place, this is the hostel where the plane crash took place. I very quickly, before I tell you anything else, I want to show you that's the place of impact. That building that you see where, and Sudesh will try and close in, there is still fire that you can see, and those are the people from the fire brigade department, from the fire department, those who are still in fact trying to douse that fire. That's the building where the impact took place. On the two buildings that you are seeing on your screens at this moment, both these buildings are the ones where the impact took place. These are not very high buildings, and that gives you a sense, because this is right after this building, just about 300 meters, 400 meters from here is the boundary wall of the airport. So that gives you a sense that the plane was not able to take off at all. I just want to keep Sudesh on that building itself. That's the building where the point of contact or the point of impact was. That's the building on which the plane first landed, and then I will show you the impact. While I'm breathing here, and it's been few hours since then when the accident has taken place, all that is left is a burnt building, charred, in fact, trees, and massive impact, area of impact that you see all across. You remember the picture. Even while I'm breathing right now, you can still feel the fumes of the aviation, fuel that burnt this entire area. Let me very quickly also show you. You remember that picture, just 52 seconds, a picture that showed you the plane trying to, in fact, take off, not able to gain the height, and the landing gear still hanging as far as that plane is concerned. One of the tires of that plane is there, right where you are seeing on my camera. My camera person Sudesh is showing you the other part of the tire. I will just show it to you. It's right where I'm standing at this moment. This is where those tires, in fact, landed after that crash took place. So let me very quickly tell you that building where you see the firemen, and they have been engaged through the last many hours. You will see a new team of NDRF also going. That's the mess of this hostel. Now, most of the doctors, those who are here, they are the ones, those who are employed at the civil hospital and the government hospitals. This is the place, these, building after building is where all of them stay. All of them, this is the place where they, in fact, used to be. And what I'm showing you at this moment is you will see, if Vishnu or all of us, anybody who would be here, you would see the Air India logo. It seems to be one of the wings, in fact, and you will see the Air India logo. That seems to be the part of the tail. The entire thing is, the ground beneath it is absolutely black, scorched completely. This is the mess where, in fact, the plane had, the doctors were having their lunch at that point of time, and the point of impact were these two buildings, and then the plane. It's about, I'll show you, it's about 500 meters or 400 meters from here, where one of the engine, while I was coming here, has, in fact, the point of impact of the engine was. I will again show you another building where there is still some fire which is burning. Sudesh, if he can point out, that's one of the building of the hostel. Now, these buildings are ground plus 5, so total ground plus 5. That's the height of these buildings as far as the floors are concerned. But Sudesh will show you that the impact of the plane was such that it made a crater on the side wall of that building, where you can still see some fire burning. So at this moment, though there are too many people here, but the fact remains that this is, it's yet not very safe to be around this place, though the fire brigade officials that you are seeing on the top are still, in fact, working to ensure that there is every ounce of that burning fuel, the fire is doused, and you can still see the smoke coming out along with those buildings which are absolutely charred and black. Let me show it around once again. That's the logo of the Air India flight which was on its way to London. This is where the point of impact was, and that's where you see that logo, on the tail that usually you see on the aircraft. Now, let me also take you a little further, and it will give you a sense, because right from here, that's the point of impact, to all the buildings that you will see right till the end. Every single building is charred. Every single building is charred. The buildings are on the right, on the front, the trees, the ground beneath them, everything is charred black. And that was the impact. It took hours and hours before, in fact, the fire could be brought under control. But where we are standing at this moment, it looks like, a bomb dropped here. There are craters and after craters. This is one place where you saw the tires, as far as that plane is concerned, the landing there, those pictures. I will try and make my way, and I will show you while I was coming here, like I said earlier, people are still in disbelief that something taken place at this, in Ahmedabad. If you see right in front of you, landing gear. This is, it looks like, parts of this aircraft. You see beyond that. And even while I'm standing here, and you try and breathe, all that you can see, all you can feel is absolutely charred air, and the heavy smell of the aviation fuel that this plane was loaded with. Sudesh, I will just see these two buildings. So that was the point of impact on those buildings. Then, of course, imagine the how big this entire area was. That you will see the completely broken wall, and then, of course, you are seeing these two buildings. So keep counting. 1, 2, these two buildings of 6-story each, which were completely burnt. And beyond this, if I keep walking, and I can keep walking for another 400 to 500 meters, all that you will see is what's left after that aircraft crash, the debris, the devastation, and of course, the kind of shock that people are still coming to terms with. This is another building. I very quickly want to point out to that aircraft which is taking off at this moment. this gives you a sense that at the time when the plane comes towards this area, when the plane is taking off and the plane is trying to take its height, this is at least the height that the plane should be at. And the Air India aircraft could not, in fact, do that. It just could not take off and just landed at a building which is lower, which is shorter, which is in length less than even the buildings which have had the maximum impact. What happened after it landed on the mess, the plane and the debris flew all across. It was filled with fuel, and what that did is something which is, I can't even describe this. I mean, these pictures are speaking for themselves. Look at this building, the front of this building completely devastated as if a bomb had exploded here. And all the windows shattered, the walls completely out. A lot of people are coming here. We are hoping that this entire area would be sanitized. At least there won't be a lot of onlookers. But let me show you. So you saw those two buildings. Now, these are building number 3 and building number 4. A lot of policemen here. Everything beneath on the ground where I'm walking is absolutely charred black. Trees have been burnt. Everything which lied all across this place has completely been burnt. I want to show you very quickly one of the most important part, possibly of the investigation as well. This is one of the engines of the plane. It has landed more or less 250 meters from the place where the initial impact took place. That's the building where the initial impact was. And then if you go across, Sudesh will show you the place where the engine has landed at least 250 meters from the building where the impact took place. The wall where the engine landed completely broken. This building also charged. Even the buildings...
Ankit, what you're pointing out right now, Ankit, is absolutely key. Can I ask your camera person to please focus on the engine? Because a lot of the investigation will be on the engine. And whatever investigators can find out, in terms of the engine, whether there was an ingestion of birds or whether it was something else, that wreckage of that engine, it's still relatively, something which they may be able to work with. That is going to be an absolutely critical part of the evidence which investigators are going to be looking at. Now, there are multiple, there's theories doing the rounds. One theory is that there wasn't enough fuel which was flowing into the engines. Number 2, there were bird strikes in both the engines which took place. One way or the other, the engines were not thrusting properly, as a result of which the aircraft went down. So if that engine can be accessed and it looks to be relatively intact, then that would be at the heart of the investigations. Ankit, before you continue, one more question. Do we know at this stage whether the black boxes of the aircraft have been recovered?
Vishnu, no confirmation on that, but what I was told earlier that there is a specialized team which is in fact looking only for the black box. Let me also tell you at this moment, Vishnu, that 186 bodies so far have been received at the hospital. Now, this is what the sources in the hospital are telling us. Now, put together, there were 242 crew members and passengers on board the plane. 5 people who have lost their life on the mess that I was showing you earlier, where the initial impact took place. That takes the entire number to 247, out of which 2 survivors. So 245 bodies entirely to be found. I want to show you once again, Vishnu, because you would understand this better. That's the minimum height, because this entire hostel, falls on the path of the takeoff, and this gives you a sense of how high it should have been, but how low it was that the impact took here. At this moment, when I am trying to breathe, it is a mix of devastation. It's a mix of death and fuel and so many charred areas that you are seeing at this moment. Continuously, police, NDRF, all the others here. Now some movement by the police to clear this off the people, and everywhere you walk, in something or the other as far as the plane is concerned. While we were walking, we saw some bags and other remnants which were being carried by the passengers. Extremely, sad to be here to report this story, but very, very important it becomes, because of what has happened. This possibly, all these remains, some medicines here must have fallen out of somebody's bag. But what I can also tell you, Vishnu, beyond this engine, beyond the fourth building of impact, there are two more buildings which have been completely engulfed in the fire, which have been destroyed in the fire. What I was told is that there are still some places, some rooms where the fire is still burning, some bodies to be recovered. Where you see the NDRF, people in the red uniform, that's where I've been told that the operation is still on to try and recover the bodies. So there seems to be some part of the plane which must have fallen there, where the operation at this moment is on. There have been these massive JCBs which have been utilized, but what I've also been told that they are not going to completely clear the area till the time the air crash investigation begins. They want this area to be preserved in this manner so that the aircraft investigation, the crash investigation can happen. I also want to tell you, this is the entrance gate
about to speak.
as far as this hostel is concerned. Now, right next to it,
दुर्घटनाग्रस्त हुई और कई पैसेंजर इसके अंदर हताहत होने की संभावनाएं हैं। इस घटना से पूरा देश क्षुब्ध है और पूरा देश एक साथ पूर्ण संवेदनाओं के साथ ये जो दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण हादसे में पैसेंजर हताहत हुए हैं, इनके खड़ा है। सबसे पहले मैं भारत सरकार, गुजरात सरकार, भारत सरकार के प्रधानमंत्री जी और गुजरात सरकार की ओर से भी जो लोग हताहत हुए हैं इनके परिजनों के प्रति गहरी संवेदना व्यक्त करता हूं। 10 ही मिनटों में हादसे के भारत सरकार के पास सूचना पहुंची। तुरंत ही मैंने मुख्यमंत्री जी, यहाँ के गृह मंत्री, होम डिपार्टमेंट के कंट्रोल रूम, सिविल एविएशन डिपार्टमेंट, सिविल एविएशन मंत्री, सभी से संपर्क किया। प्रधानमंत्री जी का भी तुरंत ही फोन आ गया और भारत सरकार और गुजरात सरकार के सभी डिपार्टमेंट एक साथ होकर राहत और बचाव कार्य में लगे। इस विमान में कुल मिलाकर 230 यात्री देश के और विदेश के और 12 क्रू मेंबर सवार थे। इसमें से एक यात्री का बचने का अच्छा समाचार मिला है, मैं उनको मिलकर आया हूं। मृत्यु का आंकड़ा तो डीएनए परीक्षण और यात्रियों की पहचान के बाद ही अथॉरिटी अधिकृत रूप से घोषित करेगी, मगर जो यात्री बचा है उसको मैं मिलकर आया हूं। घटना के तुरंत बाद गुजरात सरकार ने बहुत त्वरा से डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट की सारी इकाइयों को अलर्ट करते हुए, चाहे हेल्थ डिपार्टमेंट हो, चाहे फायर ब्रिगेड हो, चाहे पुलिस विभाग हो, भारत सरकार की भी सीएपीएफ को संपर्क कर सभी ने एक साथ मिलकर राहत और बचाव का कार्य चालू किया, मगर 1.25 लाख लीटर ईंधन विमान के अंदर ही था और लगभग गर्मी तापमान इतना ऊंचा हो गया कि किसी को बचाने की मौका ही नहीं मिला। अब मैं घटना स्थान पर भी जाकर आया हूं। सारे यात्रियों के मृतदेह को बाहर निकालने का काम लगभग समाप्त हो चुका है। जितने यात्रियों के परिजन यहां पहुंच चुके हैं वो सबका डीएनए लेने की कार्यवाही भी 2-3 घंटों में समाप्त हो जाएगी। विदेश में जिनके परिजन हैं उनको सूचना देने की कार्यवाही समाप्त हो चुकी है और जैसे ही पहुंचते हैं उनके भी डीएनए सैंपल लिए जाएंगे और मृतदेहों की पहचान के लिए जितने मृतदेह मिले हैं इनके भी डीएनए सैंपल लेने की कार्यवाही समाप्त हो चुकी है। गुजरात में ही लगभग 1000 के आसपास डीएनए टेस्ट करने पड़ेंगे। ये सभी टेस्ट करने की क्षमता गुजरात में विकसित है, तो डीएनए टेस्टिंग के लिए कहीं गुजरात के बाहर जाने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी। गुजरात की एफएसएल और नेशनल फॉरेंसिक साइंस यूनिवर्सिटी दोनों मिलकर कम से कम समय में डीएनए का परीक्षण पूरा करने के बाद परिवारजनों को अपना मृतदेह परिजन का मृतदेह सौंपने का काम करेंगे। उनके रहने की सुविधा, उनकी सांत्वना की सुविधा, जिनको मेडिकल प्रॉब्लम ट्रॉमा के कारण हुए इनकी मेडिकल की सुविधा, ये सारी व्यवस्था बहुत सुचारू रूप से हो चुकी है। अभी रिव्यू मीटिंग में सारी व्यवस्थाओं को हम सब मंत्रियों ने साथ में मिलकर देखा है। एविएशन डिपार्टमेंट ने अपनी जांच शुरू कर दी है और जांच तेजी से आगे बढ़े इसके लिए भी एविएशन मंत्री जी ने सूचनाएं दी हैं। मैं फिर से एक बार राहत काम में जिन जिन एजेंसियों ने त्वरा के साथ बचाव और राहत का काम किया वो सभी का धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं और फिर से एक बार जिन्होंने अपने परिजनों को गंवाया है, हताहत हुए हैं, वो सभी को मनपूर्वक संवेदनाएं व्यक्त करता हूं। मैं एक बात जरूर कहना चाहता हूं कि ये एक्सीडेंट है, एक्सीडेंट को कोई रोक नहीं सकता, परंतु 365 दिन 24 घंटा इस तरह की घटना के लिए प्रशासन का जो अलर्टनेस है उसकी कसौटी उसी वक्त होती है जब ऐसी घटनाएं होती है। और आज गुजरात के डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट की तैयारियों का एक प्रकार से दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण तरीके से मगर कसौटी हुआ और बहुत त्वरा के साथ यहाँ पर काम किया गया, वो पूरे देश के मीडिया के सामने और परिजनों के सामने भी आया है। अंत में मैं फिर से एक बार सम्माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की ओर से, भारत सरकार और गुजरात सरकार की ओर से सभी हताहत लोगों के परिजनों के प्रति गहरी संवेदना व्यक्त करता हूं। धन्यवाद।
The Home Minister Amit Shah over there explaining how the bodies will be identified, that there will be various agencies looking at that. He said that the initial reaction of rescue teams and others, which was put on test, was evident today. He's reached out to the family members. He's offered his condolences on this horrific crash which has taken place. There are multiple agencies which are looking into what went wrong over here. I'm joined by Robert Clifford. He's the founder and senior partner at the Clifford Law Offices in the United States, somebody who tracks aviation very, very closely and has been involved in investigations and cases in the past. Thank you, sir, very much for being with us. Why is it particularly important to get to the bottom of this? Because the Boeing 787 is used by airlines around the world.
Well, that's precisely the point. Thousands and thousands of people travel on these aircraft every day around the globe. And certainly that particular plane, the Dreamliner, does have a good, solid safety history. And so the traveling public now is in a state of disarray. Let me begin, by the way, I cannot go further without expressing my sincere condolences to all in your country and these families. This is such a horrible thing. As lead counsel in the Ethiopian crash case, I'm about to begin another trial here in Chicago, and I know deeply how these families are just so horribly impacted. But we will be monitoring, knowing what occurred here. Every expert that I've already spoken with points to potentially mechanical problems. As you see right now in the replay of the video, the plane was not able to acquire adequate lift. So the black boxes, the digital flight data recorder information, as well as the cockpit voice recorder will be providing important information to the investigators that will help them determine the cause of this. And if it's a system-wide problem, there will be immediate alerts that go around the globe about these aircraft and to address any common issue that we hope that doesn't exist, of course. Hopefully this is just a terrible, terrible one-off situation and does not affect the entire fleet.
Could you tell us about the significance of British investigators coming in, investigators from Boeing and presumably from the NTSB as well, to help India's Director General of Civil Aviation? Because, besides the legal aspect of this, India being a member of ICAO, there is that expertise which needs to be shared, right? India is a very experienced operator of the 787. We've had these in service for more than a decade. Air India is its engineering prowess is known. I mean, it's a legacy airline. Be that as it may, how is this collective, this collective addition of experts from around the world crucial in getting to the bottom of this?
It is, because it's a cooperative spirit that is designed to enhance the safety of the traveling public right now around the world. There are people from all over the globe who are involved with these agencies that have an expertise. Certainly, your country is known for its expertise and its robust ability to analyze this on its own. However, taking advantage of the investigators from the NTSB, the FAA, from Britain, from probably even France and the Airbus people, it wouldn't surprise me. All of those will be there. There's a common interest, a global common interest in safe aviation travel. We want that for us all. This is one for all and all for one right now at this most critical time. We need to immediately understand what occurred here.
Thank you, sir, very much for being with us.